Okay, this tutorial will be on drawing another style of short haircut. So same steps as always. We're going to start with kind of the outlines of the shape. Then we're going to use value to add form, and then we'll finish with texture. So this one has bangs. So we'll start with this kind of the hairline around the face. So here we just kind of have it just go up a little bit from the ears. It's just coming up to about even with the eyebrows. And then we've got, it's just kind of going right across the eyebrows here, but we don't want just a straight line. We're going to use this kind of more textured approach. Okay, so we've got that across the eyebrow line. This should really come in front of the eyebrows. So let's see if I can erase a little bit from the eyebrows. So it's a photocopy, but I'm able to erase a little bit, so that should work. All right, so just bringing that down even a little bit lower. Okay, so using these little marks to indicate the hair texture right from the start. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the top part of the hair. So we've got the overall shape. So I think first I'll start with just kind of marking that. This would be the top of the head. So the hair is pretty full, so we'll make some extra room for the hair. Okay, it's going to kind of create this shape overall. I'm paying attention to where it cuts on the face and the neck, so a little bit above the neck. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and add a little more accuracy and texture to this. So we've got this lock coming out, and we've got this. Okay, and right away we've got some curl to the hair, so we're adding kind of that curl to it as we go. Okay, and then coming over this way, so we've got the part right here, by the way. It's kind of a not very exact part, but it's there. Okay, so something like that. And we do have some hair coming over the ears as well, so we can get rid of the top part of the ear as best we can, and then have some locks of hair coming over the ears. So this is already getting us a little bit into pulling out the smaller areas of the form. So we're just going to keep going with that. We've got the bang section, so this part here, and then we have sort of two locks sort of above that. So three distinct parts right there. So here is that one lock to this side. Then we've got another like so, and that is also connecting right over to here. So that's what was causing a little bit of that texture. And then we've got the bangs basically coming from right there. So we can even find some parts within the bangs. So I'm just kind of following the swoop of the hair here. And we've got kind of one area, and we've got kind of a curl to it. And then some more. So this might be coming behind the curl a little bit. And then maybe some locks like this, but then some curl in front of them again. All right, so we looked, we had another video that was just on curls, but to kind of go to that just a little bit, and in fact, okay, so Just moving that up. All right, so this is kind of what we're dealing with curls. So that kind of gives you some context. A lot of these, though, too, are just really more of a wave popping up. So we have this kind of thing going on. So you might have this part coming in front of this part here, or even doing maybe this kind of thing where this whole section is coming up and in front. So that's just some context for the forms that we're dealing with. Speaking of which, okay, so we've got another curl over here, kind of doing this shape. And we'll just finish off this bang section with some more curl out there. So I'm just looking at what I see and approximating it. And then we have this section back here where we've got some more curls happening. So these are coming behind. And then we've just got more curls kind of coming down here. So over here, same basic kind of thing. This part is behind. And maybe, again, we've got some more curls kind of going on there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some shading to that. So again, we've got sort of the overall hair or the head rounded. So we've got the curving back part at the top and then also kind of curving where it meets the face. And then we can leave the middle part a little bit lighter. Okay, so starting with that, we'll start up here. We can kind of do medium shading, and right off from the bat, we're gonna kind of shade with the direction of the hair here. Now back here, it's behind the bang section, so we can make that a little bit darker. So I'm not trying to draw every little hair at this point. I'm just kind of shading it in generally, but I am trying to go with the direction of the hair a bit, just to make it easier later. Around the face, it is getting darker. This part, though, is sticking out in front of what's behind it, so I'm going to go a little bit darker back here than this curl that is coming in front of the ear. Okay, down here, again, we'll shade in a bit, so kind of following this direction of this overall curl. This is in front though, so I'm making this a little bit darker here. Again, this is in front of this, so a little bit darker there. And here, again, a little bit darker around the face and darker underneath this part of the curl. I don't have my graphite stick with me. If I did, I might use that, but just trying to use the side of the pencil. In here, we're having this very dark area, so it's underneath this lock, and it is actually where the part is. So we can make that darker. Go a little darker around here. I talked about making this sort of outside of the head darker, so I'm gonna continue that pattern, and again around the face. So continuing that pattern. Dark right around the face. And then getting a little lighter, and then darker toward the outside again. So right around the face, we can have this dark, but we also want it to be darker right behind it. because this is coming in front, this little curl. The bangs are in front, so the area right under and behind will be a little bit darker than the bangs. So this person has kind of medium brown hair, so we're making it a bit lighter than when we were drawing the hair for some of the people with very dark hair, very dark brown or black, but we'll still have, we'll still be shading in pretty much all of this. All right, so continuing, just shading with the direction. I'm going to switch to this pencil because it's a little bit easier to shade with. All right, so leaving some of these areas that are in front a little bit lighter. And I know I'm going to be blending this, so we might see how much I can move some of this value around with the blending tools. But again, I do want to make sure it's a little bit darker underneath these areas that are standing on top, that are coming forward. Again, that's just going to push it back. So right now it's looking a little messy with the shading. Shouldn't matter too much because we are going to blend it in. So, but if we're seeing that messiness after we blend it in, then we might have to go back in and go over it a little bit more neatly. Okay, so filling in, again, just a few of these areas that we want to have come behind. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and blend this stuff in. So trying to follow the approximate direction that the hair is going. I don't want to lose track of these different locks, so I don't want to blend so much that we can't tell what's in front and what's in back. So okay, so this should give us a little bit of a base to work on top of. Okay, and some of our shading is a little messy and it shows, but we're going to go on top of it with the texture anyway, so it should be all right. Okay, adding a lot of shading, we do want to make sure that we're not smudging everything that we're doing. Okay, so now we're going to go back in and we're just going to add more texture on top of this. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of start from here. I'm kind of seeing where these hairs are growing from that part. I do want to keep it dark in this area that is quite dark, and we've got the hairs kind of growing right from there. All right, in here we've got this curl kind of popping up. So we're going to keep that in front of this area we were just working on. So we're adding texture, but it's going to be a little bit lighter. And then we've got this other curl popping up in front there. All right, I'm getting just a few of these little, I don't know if these are smudges or where those came from, so I'm trying to cover those or erase them. So these kind of long curving marks represent the hair texture. And again, just moving with the direction of the hair, knowing where that's coming from. So we don't start these like in the middle of the form. We need to give that impression that they are growing from that part. Some of these areas in front, we can also pull out with the eraser a little bit. So I'm gonna shade a little bit more behind this area. All right, so just continuing to add texture here in the direction that we're seeing it here. We might be able to kind of have a few hairs kind of coming in front and across. So just kind of looking at what I see. So this hairstyle has, you know, just kind of a lot of freedom to it. So allowing for some of these pieces that aren't quite following the direction that everything else is going. All right, so continuing here. So again, we've got sort of these areas sticking up in front. So shading behind there. And again, we're trying to make everything look like it's kind of coming from the center where the parts are. And we're shading a little bit darker here, right behind those forms that we want to have come in front. And a lot of this too, you can really just look and see where does it get lighter, where does it get darker here. And you can pull out, again, some of this with the eraser. So drawing lines with the eraser on top of areas you've already shaded. And then as we're going farther back, again, getting darker. So this lock here is coming in front. So this area behind it, we can shade a little bit darker. And again, trying to go with the direction of the hairs back there. And we can blend a little bit here if we need to kind of have everything kind of look like it's coming together and coming from the same area. And then again, we can go back in and add some of these areas where we want the hairs to look like they're coming in front. So drawing lines with the eraser. Just stopping to sharpen. Okay, so this part is all in front, and now we're getting more to the part that's in back. So this is this side area that's coming from behind the bangs. And again, we'll go a little bit darker where it's coming behind an area that's pushing front. And I feel like I'm losing the ear in here a little bit, so just bringing that out, defining that a little bit more. All right, so that's pretty much giving us what we want over here. But again, we can continue to pull out a few more areas to come in front if we want to, shade areas that are going to go further back. I think we've got pretty much enough texture going on over here. We might want to add more texture up here though to this lock. And here you can really start to see some of the individual hairs. Again, like we've done in some of the other hairstyles. We can add some stray locks up here, some stray little baby hairs, I kind of call them, or little wisps of hair. Again, just make it look a little more natural. So I would keep doing that same kind of thing as we go around the head. So again, finding the areas that are on top and then shading around those. So we definitely have this darker area here of hair that's behind other areas. Here too, we want to make sure we've got these hairs along the bottom of the bangs. So just kind of keeping track of what's in front, what's in back, and where things start to change direction. So in here, they start to change direction. We've had a lot of the hairs going this way, and now we've got them starting to go this way instead, out to this side of the head. So something like that there. And this all, again, we want to continue to add texture to this. So going a little darker in some areas and having fewer lines in other areas where we want it lighter. And again, we can have a few of these little hairs that are kind of doing their own thing up there. Okay, so all of these reinforce, though, this overall form, and they all appear to be following this same lock here. So even if you're starting them in the middle, you don't want them to look like they're starting in the middle. They're all coming from somewhere. Okay, so then same idea over here. These are kind of coming from underneath this other part. And let's see. So, and again, just small little marks. I think this might be a little too full out here, so just bringing that in a little bit. Okay, so there we go. That's pretty much it. Just looking for anything that's kind of standing out that looks a little off. So this area I think just needs to be a little more filled in. And again, if we want this to pop out in front, we can get in there with a little bit of the eraser. So just creating a little more, some highlights in some areas with the eraser. All right, I think though that that's kind of the basic idea.